Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this is the second part of our February 2021 Starwheel Astrology and Healing newsletter. So the first part was a brief overall list, a brief overall list of the astrological energies and the various healing opportunities. But this second part focuses on the massive and rare Jupiter Saturn Pluto conjunction in February 2021. Now, in fact, more planets than just those three are in Vedic Capricorn in February, but those are the subject of the third part of the newsletter, its video and blog. So, I want to say that the Jupiter Saturn Pluto conjunction, all in one sign, the Vedic sign of Capricorn, is massive and rare. The different natures and agendas of these three planets pit themselves against each other. And unless we can deeply understand them and get them to work together in our lives, we will be overwhelmed or confused or driven or blocked or even imprisoned. Positively, this huge energy is death and rebirth empowerment in the area of our life that is the house in our Vedic birth chart, that is the sign of Capricorn. And if you go on my 2021 February Starwheel Astrology website page, the page for February, you'll see many help documents listed, including what are the life areas of each house. So you'll be able to look it up and consider, well, how is it affecting me? Now, let's look at the planets, and of course they can manifest positively or negatively, or a combination of both. Positively, Pluto can take us into our darkness and heal it, then to arise more powerful. The world must face its dark side now. The world must struggle against a repressive old order. A new evolutionary cycle is being called to come into being, driven in fact by the rising darkness. Positively, Pluto impels us into our needed and proper power, deep death and rebirth psychological transformation. It is the wonderful myths of the Greek myth, Pluto and Persephone, the Babylonian myth of Ishtar, her descent into the underworld, also called Inanna. They are such wonderful myths. And I do actually do online journeys of descent into the underworld for shedding of our darknesses and wounds so as to arise lightened and thus more able to receive the light of the divine as it comes down from the divine and enters through our crown chakra. Except, of course, we're often so burdened we can't let it in. So a journey to the abyss can help heal that. See the myths. So, positively, Pluto impels us to our needed and proper power, to psychological transformation. Moving to Saturn. Positively, Saturn is consolidation, authority, control, duty, and he can provide needed structure and strategy in our lives, and if we patiently and properly fulfill his demands, we're rewarded with golden reaping. He was an agricultural deity. Jupiter. Positively, Jupiter gives us blessing, enlargement and sense of purpose. So we must, each of us, embrace our sacred duties as parents and citizens, as spiritual human beings, as custodians of a new age. That could potentially dawn now. In fact, I would say that a very great theme of mine is to seek to contact the gods in their pure nature as faces of the divine. We humans don't experience gods as faces of the divine, and so the way we experience them is filtered by, for example, the sign they're in our birth chart, Western or Vedic, the sign, the house, the aspect, all through filters. But we're here to develop spiritual understanding and perception so as to be able to manage our egoic personality, our egoic consciousness, and move beyond the filtered expression to more and more fully see each of these planets for what they are, as faces of the divine. And we need to do that. But when we're contacting planets, there's always negative potential in the energies as well as positive, of course. Pluto. Negatively, Pluto revels in darkness and pits himself against Saturn now, who manifests as negative barriers, prison walls, repressive, hypocritical authority. Saturn. Negatively now, Saturn is authoritarian, and he'll be tightening his authoritarian bureaucratic grip, preserving wealth and status. Negatively, Saturn enforces borders, but Pluto explodes Saturn agendas. So with all this going on in Vedic Capricorn, Cancer people opposite should be very careful for the next 2 years. So the Jupiter Saturn Pluto conjunction is in the 7th house from Cancer. It's in the 8th house from Gemini. They have to be careful. It's in the 6th house from Leo. They have to be careful. And it's in the 12th house from Aquarius. They have to be careful. We all have to be careful, but those signs have to be even more careful. Have a look at the blog and check which of your planets are in those particular danger signs. Now, an important point is that when Saturn is transiting Capricorn or Sagittarius before Capricorn or Aquarius after Capricorn, well, people with Capricorn, Sagittarius or Aquarius moons are actually in Sade Sate. So this is the 7.5-year period when Saturn transits through the sign before your moon, the sign of your moon, and the sign after your moon. And well, one thing you do need to do is put aside some money if you can, because it can be a period of financial hardship. And another thing you must do is prepare to shed what must die in your life on all levels. So, you have to be prepared to embrace the proper strategy forward so that you can be reborn. I've been through Sade Sati twice and I entered it so blinkered as to what I had to learn. So much had to die, how I'd been programmed and brought up. Jupiter. Negatively, the weakness of Jupiter is its terrible lack of dignity strength in Vedic Capricorn. I've put dignity graphs in the February 2021 website page in Starwheel Astrology, so you can see this. So we have Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto. I hope from what I've said you can see how life-changing the clash of these titans, no, they're super titans, how the clash of the super titans is in your life, in mine. It's big. Now the last time these three were in the same sign was in 1145, and what happened then was that the Pope launched the Second Crusade against the Muslims. So there's big echoes of some of the things that are going on now coming from that energy, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. Right, the other thing that absolutely has to be noted is that it's the Pluto return for the USA. In other words, Pluto in the heavens is moving closer and closer and closer to Pluto in the birth chart of the USA. And the first exact hit is March 2023. So the USA will have to deal with its darkness historically when it was being set up and all that went on then. And before that, the treatment of indigenous peoples and dark themes in the country and in the national character now. All countries have these special moments. Here in Ireland, it was the uprising of 1916, where the freedom of Ireland was bought with much blood from the British Empire's domination. This inescapably will happen in the USA, but the point is, darkness has been rising and darkness will rise, but the point is, the rise of darkness will impel so many to embrace the light at this time, and we have to be one of those, embracing the light almost because of the rise of the darkness. I saw a bit of national pride sloganism about how the Pluto return will proceed with George Washington's spirit of freedom. Well, I think that's misguiding. I think much darkness has risen and will risen so that it will be purged, in a sense like a descent into the underworld that I've been mentioning earlier in this video. The darkness is rising so that so many will be impelled to seek to embrace the light. That's the key point. And the other big theme of the Jupiter Saturn Pluto conjunction in Capricorn is listening. A special twist to the Capricorn tale is that actually Jupiter, Saturn and Sun start off the month of February in Shravana Nakshatra. Moon and Venus are in Shravana too on February the 10th. Now Shravana Nakshatra does embody an energy of listening, of spiritual listening, and that's what we must all now seek to embrace. Shravana is ruled by the moon, its symbol is the ear, its deity is Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe. Shravana's nature is to be fierce and severe in a balanced way, but the spiritual path within that severity and structure is listening and the gaining of knowledge. And yes, I hope that these videos and blogs that are my February newsletter will assist in the gaining of knowledge. Now, because Shravana is entirely within the sign of Capricorn, we have to face the fact that Saturn's presence at this time will have facets that are chilling and restrictive. And the other problem is that Jupiter is in such terrible low dignity when he's transiting Vedic Capricorn. As I said, look at the dignity graphs on the 2021 February Starwheel website page. Indeed, I've studied the Rashi of Ashtas, and Jupiter boosts Saturn, but Saturn just takes and drains Jupiter. And the point is, and this is very important, this debilitation of Jupiter will lead to recession from the start of 2021. I mean, Ireland's in a terrible mess with the coronavirus payments. How are they going to be paid? So many businesses are going bust. But the stock market will be artificially buoyed until September the 14th. You see, the point is Jupiter enters Vedic Aquarius on the 6th of April 2021, but he turns retrograde on the 20th of June at 8 degrees Aquarius and retrogrades back into Vedic Capricorn on the 14th of September. On that date, and from that date, recession will deepen. You see, the very important point is the last time that Jupiter was in Vedic Capricorn was in 2008. Jupiter's orbit round the Sun is 12 years. And 2008 was the time when the Celtic tiger bubble burst. and indeed there was world recession at this time. Jupiter cannot do well in Capricorn, and one of the areas of Jupiter's beneficence is economic expansion. Jupiter cannot be effectively beneficent at this time because of his dreadful low dignity in Vedic Capricorn and because of the dreadful relationship he has with Saturn. And indeed, as I said, I do vision work and love that, and I shall certainly be doing vision work to contact Brihaspati, the divine face of Jupiter. And maybe you might want to do this at this time. So this concludes the Jupiter Saturn Pluto Part 2 newsletter for February, the Starwheel Astrology and Healing newsletter. Part 3 is all about the fact that 6 planets in Vedic Capricorn, and it's really important to understand how those planets get on with each other and what sort of energies we're receiving, so please go on to that. You can book an astrology reading with me on my Starwheel Astrology website, and you can book one of the vast range of healing modalities my wife Maggie Pashley offers worldwide on her website, www.maggiepashley.com, and the address is in the blog associated with this video. So I'm glad to be able to share this important information, and may we both benefit from the sharing and grow in our spiritual awareness and help the world. Thank you.